Welcome back to Grim Advice with Gretta Myers. You've entered the grimoire. Let's turn the page together. Look at me. I learned my lesson from last night, and I'm not reading the story, especially one that just follows the pattern of Goodnight Moon. And then almost falling asleep while reading it. I'm filming earlier in the day. Let's everybody clap for me really fast. And for all of you. Everyone's valid. Everyone take a brownie point. Okay. Woo! Without further ado, the 3 languages. An aged count once lived in Switzerland who had an only son, but he was stupid and could learn nothing. Then said the father, "Listen, my son, I can get nothing into your head. Let me try as I will. You must go from here. I will give you into the care of a celebrated master, who shall see what he can do with you." The youth was sent into a strange town, and remained a whole year with the master. At the end of this time he came home again, and his father asked, "Now, my son, what have you learnt?" "Father, I have learnt what the dogs say when they bark." "Oh, have mercy on us," cried the father. "Is that all you have learnt? I will send you into another town to another master." The youth was taken there, studied a year with this master likewise. When he came back, the father again asked, "My son, what have you learnt?" He answered, "Father, I have learnt what the birds say." Then the father fell into a rage and said, "Oh, you lost man, you have spent precious time and learnt nothing. Are you not ashamed to appear before my eyes? I will send you to a 3rd master, but if you learn nothing this time also, I will no longer be your father." The youth remained a whole year with the 3rd master also, and when he came home again, and his father inquired, "My son, what have you learnt?" he answered, "Dear father, I have this year learnt what the frogs croak." Then the father fell into the most furious anger, sprang up, called his people over, and said, "This man is no longer my son. I cast him out, and command you to take him out into the forest and kill him." They took him there, but when they should have killed him, they could not do it for pity, and let him go, and they cut the eyes and the tongue out of a deer, that they might carry them to the old man as a token. The youth wandered on, and after some time came to a fortress, where he begged for a night's lodging. "Yes," said the lord of the castle, "if you will pass the night down there in the old tower, go there. But I warn you, it is at the peril of your life, for it is full of wild dogs, which bark and howl without stopping, and at certain hours a man has to be given to them, whom they at once devoured." The whole district was in sorrow and dismay because of them, yet no one could do anything to stop this. The youth, however, was without fear, and said, Just let me go down to the barking dogs, and give me something that I can throw to them. They will do nothing to harm me." Since he himself insisted, they gave him some food for the wild animals, and let him down to the tower. When he went inside, the dogs did not bark at him, but wagged their tails quite amicably around him, ate what he set before them, and did not hurt one hair on his head. Next morning, to the astonishment of everyone, he came out again safe and unharmed, and said to the lord of the castle, "The dogs have revealed to me, in their own language, why they dwell there, and bring evil on the land. They are bewitched, and are obliged to watch over a great treasure, which is below in the tower, and they can have no rest until it is taken away, and I have likewise learnt from their discourse how it is to be done." Then all who heard this rejoiced, and the lord of the castle said he would adopt him as a son if he accomplished it successfully. He went down again, and as he knew what he had to do, he did it thoroughly, brought a chest full of gold out with him. The howling of the wild dogs was heard no more. They had disappeared. The country was freed from the trouble. After some time, he took it into his head that he would travel to Rome. On the way, he passed by a marsh, in which a number of frogs were sitting, croaking. He listened to them, and when he became aware of what they were saying, he grew very thoughtful and sad. At last he arrived in Rome, where the Pope had just died, and there was great difficulty as to whom they would appoint as his successor. They at length agreed that the person chosen as Pope should be distinguished by some divine and miraculous token. And just as that was decided on, the young count entered into the church, and suddenly 2 snow-white doves flew on his shoulders and remained sitting there. The ecclesiastics recognized that as a token from above, and asked him on the spot if he would be Pope. He was undecided, and knew not if he were worthy of this, but the doves counseled him to do it, and at length he said yes. Then as he was anointed and consecrated, and which had so disturbed him that he was to be His Holiness the Pope. Then he had to sing a mass, and did not know one word of it, but the two doves sat continually on his shoulders, and said it all in his ear. First off, this seems a little funny. My very first thought is like, oh, the kid that learned nothing. It's the kid from last night. But this kid actually does learn something, and I'll get to that in a minute. Second off, what the heck is with people being like, have this person killed, and then they're like, I can't do it, even though I know I agreed to do it by law. And then they get out in the woods and they just find a deer and cut the tongue and eyes out. Like, that is a thing that happens several times. I don't understand. Those poor deer. Now we know why the wolves are so hungry in fairy tales, because the deer population is just massacred for these people that they're too afraid to kill. What can I say? Okay, so it's like, you can't learn anything. Let me okay, give me a second. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say first. It just cracks me up that he just knows. It kind of reminds me of the white snake. How he, like, pretends he's, like, the best person ever, but it's just because he has all this help. Which, if you have help, doesn't mean you're not great. However, you should give credit where credit is due. You know, like if your friend, like, helped you study for a test, and then someone's like, oh my gosh, you did so well on the test, how'd you do it? And they're just like, I'm just amazing and I don't need help ever. Hey, the friend is not going to help you ever again. Unless they're a really good friend. In which case, especially thank them. You know, just, and I need to do this too, because sometimes I'll be embarrassed to admit that I got help. I'm like, will they laugh at me? Will they judge me for getting help? Obviously, I don't make this face in the person, just in my head. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just because you get help doesn't mean your success is any less. It does just mean that you should be like, hey man, thanks for the help. And hey man, yeah, this person helped me. It's really not that complicated. Okay, so let me talk about some hypotheticals for a second. Okay, everyone's like, this kid can't learn nothing. Yeah, they said that so much because they were so frustrated that they used improper grammar because he's so dumb. And they were like literally, he's so dumb. And then he goes away and he learns this thing. And everyone's like, that doesn't count as a real thing you can learn. Try it again. And then he does it again. And he's like, here's this cool thing I learned, Dad. And he's like, son, that doesn't count. We've been over this. It doesn't count. Like, you can't, that doesn't count. And he's like, okay. And then he goes through a third, and then he learns this other cool thing. And everyone's like, that's it. He's completely useless. He's just the worst. Somebody go kill this man. There are certain people and institutions and a whole mindset of many generations that say if you don't go to college for 4 years, for like, you know, or like longer for like specific things, then it doesn't count and you're not really educated. Now, of course, not every people think this, not everyone thinks this, not everyone. However, there are lots of people who straight up say it or imply it, and it's just everywhere that is like the only thing you can do is go to a university or college for 4 or more years and get your whatever degree in something practical, like science or math or Maybe English if you're pushing it. But arts, no. Theater, no. And a lot of people, some people, there are people that thrive in that kind of environment and with that kind of education, and that works for them. However, there's some people like this young man who will not thrive in that situation, but that doesn't mean they're dumb and like they can't learn. Like, seriously, people, goodness, people are valid. They're valid. So this man, let's say he's like, everyone's like, so you're not going to college, so you don't learn anything, you're so dumb. And then he's like, okay, let me go send you to a master. And he goes to like, I don't know, some 2-year school. And he's like, look, I can now do this awesome, like, technical, applied skill. And the dad's like, that doesn't count if it doesn't come with a degree. Yeah, so my point is, not everyone learns the same. Not everyone's cut out for that 4-year thing. Some people are cut out for different types of education and jobs. And that's okay. That's valid. And if you are one of those people that can sit and can be the 4-year degree person or more, that's great. That's valid. There are also people who suffer from things like ADHD. And so sitting in a classroom for an hour at a time, doing nothing else but trying to pay attention, is really hard. I mean, come on, that's hard. Depending on the subject and the teacher and just how we're feeling that day, that's hard for every single person. Let alone if you already have that hand cut off, from that other video. If you're already struggling with that, like if you're missing a hand due to that, and you're just... And that's valid. So you gotta find what works for you and what way you learn. And I apologize for ranting about college and stuff. It's a stressful thing. Stressful decisions for people, hypothetically. And colleges aren't bad. Universities aren't bad. Wanting your child or someone you know to get the best education possible is not bad at all. And dialectic toast, it can go to the point where it feels pressure. No matter how much you love the person who's telling you, no matter how much you know that they care about you and their intentions are good, it can still be pressure. So, it's valid. Yeah. So, find what works for you. Just because you don't learn in the typical, usual, listen to the teacher, take notes in your little notebook and read the textbook and then study for... Just because you can't, that's not how you learn best. That's okay. That's valid. You're valid. Everybody's valid. Everyone takes some valid points. I'm in a giving mood. I'm just in a mood in general. Okay, thank you for joining us for another Happily Ever After. Or not so happily ever after. That's up for you to decide, huh? And I will not blame you at all if today was a little weird. That's on me. Either way, this is the end for the episode, and so tune in later. We can turn a new page and learn more together.